Elsie used to say that when you do a good deed, you'll get a golden tombstone. And Barry has earned his golden tombstone. So I'm going to be a great film critic. I took Elsa to see the premiere of Schindler's List. And when we left, I said, well, how was it? She says, not as long as the original. We're going to pretend the clock isn't quite going, but Marco, and I put Marco on the program and we got tight, but I want Marco to say a few words, in part because I must say, you hope that every generation is better than the last, and there's no doubt that this is the case. The kids here have been tremendous. I want Marco to say a few words about the 6th and 7th generations, and then we'll wrap up with Jody's. Thank you.
Speaking to my fan club here, my kids and my nephews and nieces. Kit originally asked me to chronicle my generation, so I felt a little bit like having the responsibility of the Who, my generation, meeting Abba, Iba, and my people. And it was a little too daunting for me, so instead I think I'm going to give you the Cliff Note ADD version of some observations about our family in a top 10, so a little sports-like, a little David Letterman-like, a little levity-like. Before getting into it, I should just point out that I got a little OD'd on Krieger pride from my grandmother, Nana Edith, who you've heard about, Dottie's oldest sister. And in fact, she would tell me that Grandpa Joe, her father, was the greatest man that ever lived. So being a skeptical teenager, 20-something, I mean, I sort of reacted in a negative way towards that. I didn't want to digest it. But as time has gone on, I've had a resurgence in pride for this family. I want to share some observations that I hope you guys can relate to. There's a play that Stacy and I saw in Great Barrington, Mass. 2 weekends ago, based on a best-selling biography on the life of the late football coach Vince Lombardi. And it's called When Pride Still Mattered. And it's going to be on Broadway, called Lombardi. So when pride still mattered, here's some things that still matter to me and I hope matter to you about the Krieger story. Place matters. Nana reacted very negatively when I moved to New York City to go to Columbia University. She said, my father escaped the city, and how could you move to such a sweaty, humid, terrible place? San Francisco is where you should be. Vancouver is where you should be. And I think the beauty of this place shows that. So certainly place matters for the Krieger family. Country matters. I mentioned to Kit that at our house in New York City, we have a framed Gettysburg Address that was penned by Dottie's father, Grandpa Joe. Just beautiful love towards this country, and obviously your love towards Canada as well, but country matters in a big way. Number 3 on my list, integrity matters. And we heard that with the Teabag Company, where he decided not to lay off people, but rather, not go the automated way, not go the highly scalable way that could replicate, but rather be concerned with human lives. And my dad, who died prematurely, who would have loved this event, often said, son, virtue is its own reward. And I think he got a lot of that from his grandfather, Joe. So integrity matters. Israel and Judaism matter. You're going to hear more from Jody in a moment, but I can tell you, you guys have probably heard this story before, but my grandmother's resurgent interest in Judaism came from a knock on the door during World War II from a Jehovah's Witness spouting anti-Semitism. And that got her back on the right track. And I think for all of us, the role of Israel and Judaism, however we interpret it, is huge and very important. Ingenuity, creativity, invention matter to this family. It's amazing. I mean, looking just at my dad's generation of professors, political cartoonists, teachers, architects, scientists, everyone marching to their own drummer and doing their own thing, but a huge spirit of creativity is there, and that's a lot to be proud of. Number 6, doing it our way. You know, Erna, who was such a special influence on us all. And she said to me at a young age, when everyone was telling me, you know, a Jewish boy growing up in Beverly Hills, that I should either be a doctor or a lawyer, which left a lot of choice for me. And I didn't do either. You know, she looked at me when I was a teenager, she said, you should be a journalist. I mean, who would have thought, you know, something different. I do a little journalism, but I'm in a very related field. But it's that kind of thinking that I think is special. Number 7 on the list, history matters. And we heard that from Barry's very touching chronicle of his mother's life. Needless to say, this reunion would have been a lot bigger, had it not been for the Holocaust. So I know there are a lot of history majors. I remember talking to Andy about history from his days at Stanford University. I'm a history major. I think a lot of you are, and we get the importance of history in this family. Being moving Jews matters. Wandering Jews, going from country to country. I mean, it's quite amazing that literally from 2 different spots in the world, we have Jody flying in from Israel and Gary and David flying in from Hawaii. About as far as you can get on the map, not to mention Joe and his girlfriend Carol coming in from China and all kinds of places in between. So the travel lust in this family is very strong, and I've certainly inherited that. Generosity matters. We were talking earlier, Jonah, myself, and Scott, a new cousin that I just met in person for the first time yesterday. There's a theme in this family that we don't worship the almighty dollar. You know, and if we have business success, sometimes it's almost by accident. We sort of stumble into it. But I think that says something about us and our spirit and our generosity. That yes, we work hard, but we're not driven just by monetary gain, and that's an important thing, something important to remember. And last but not least, you know, family matters, and it gets back to my grandmother Nana and her huge love for all of you, and especially her youngest brother Dottie. And if ever I said something that could be interpreted to her as derogatory about her family, she would scream at me, "Don't talk badly about my family! Never talk badly about my family!" So it's with that sense of pride that I'm just delighted to be able to share a few thoughts.